Arlecchino, right around the corner in version 4.6. As a Harbinger, she's got a badass design, a very fitting look for her title as father, and so it's no wonder that pretty much everyone has something to like about her, especially because she has a more ominous tone to her, which is rare in Genshin characters. I'm excited for her as well, in more ways than one, but I really hope that Hoyoverse does her character justice from both a gameplay perspective and lore perspective. This video will mainly focus on her lore because I do have some worries about how they're writing her character so far. She's coming out in a few days, so I hope when we get more info about her, her writing hones in on the ruthless wolf in sheep's clothing that she's been foreshadowed by so far. To start, let's briefly talk about what we know of Arlecchino so far and how she was first hinted at in the story. Her name was first hinted at in version 2.4 on January 5th, 2022, where in the quest, the very special fortune slip, she was mentioned to be in charge of the House of the Hearth, which supposedly raises little children to become Fatui members. Then, 6 months later, on July 10th, 2022, the most hyped Genshin trailer came out, the Teyvat chapter interlude teaser, A Winter Night's Lazo, where out of nowhere, they showed us each and every Harbinger's design. A very well received video, nearing 1 million likes as of this video recording, and you can check for yourselves all the hype in the comment section. Granted, only the faces of the characters were shown, but one of the defining traits for Arlecchino were her eyes, having a distinct red X on each one. In the trailer, her dialogue indicates that she dislikes business tactics and has some care for children, but the carefully crafted tone of voice she uses clearly indicates that she has ulterior motives. A few days later, on July 13th, 2022, with version 2.7, Child received new voice lines about each Harbinger and describes Arlecchino as someone who would betray anyone for her own goals, even the Tsaritsa herself, which is a huge accusation because the culture of the Harbingers have been built around their undying loyalty to the Tsaritsa. Later on, Wanderer also claims her to be a wolf in sheep's clothing, and that she always puts on a cordial front to hide her true crazy self. Wow, a Genshin character that isn't all wholesome? Imagine that. I think these are elements that can make for great characters, so if I somehow was not interested in Arlecchino before, these brief snippets of her character by the other Harbingers has made me very curious about her. This is why when the Fontaine Overture teaser came out, I was excited for her because the trailer dedicates its entire post-credit scene to foreshadow Arlecchino as some kind of puppet master, controlling her children from the shadows. And, well, after Fontaine's Archon quest, I feel like I've been misled in a way, because I felt like Arlecchino's presence in the story should have been more significant than the way she was presented, and it didn't really hint at her crazed nature. She had a minimal role in the story, and was only there to introduce her cordial appearance, with her care for stopping the prophecy of Fontaine, and helping people evacuate during the sea flooding. Sure, she spooked Farina, but there was nothing that antagonistic about Arlecchino. She's friendly with us from the get-go. In fact, if we remove her from the Archon quest, I would argue that nothing really changes about the story, and I can't help but feel sad about that, given all her previous foreshadowing. There wasn't anything of substance that made me feel like she was up to something. I'm not saying that she's a bad character or anything like that. I just feel that the story should have utilized her more. In the previous Archon quests, every Harbinger contributed to the story in more significant ways. If we compare the acquiring of Gnosis, Arlecchino's was the most tame because it's literally off-screen by Navile. Navile could have also given the Gnosis to Child, maybe as some sort of reward for fighting the Narwhal, and the story doesn't really change. I know Child was out of it after his fight with the Narwhal, which was badass, but my point is that we didn't build on Arlecchino's character enough. And so, here we are, with version 4.6 around the corner, and from the version 4.6 livestream, we know that she'll be the new weekly boss. I'm sure this will be explained through her story quest, but the fact that she's playable has concerns for me, because Genshin does have a reputation of toning down the bad qualities of their playable characters. The most recent example I can think of is Scaramouche, or Wanderer, where his erasure in Irminsul pretty much downplayed the accountability of his past actions, In fact, all the Harbingers so far are either dead or allied with us, which reduces the tension they have in the story. Dottore is the one exception to this, but I'd likely have the same reservations about him whenever he's announced playable at some point. Whether this toning down of Harbingers is due to marketing or legal reasons, I just hope that they follow through with Arlecchino's character and lore, given all the prominent foreshadowing that they've given her prior to Fontaine's Archon quest. For example, they can explore her care for her children and contrast that with giving us details as to why she, as a Harbinger, would be willing to abandon loyalty to the Tsaritsa. It's an interesting path to explore, comparing her loyalty to her children versus the Tsaritsa. I mean, on her drip marketing, the quote associated with it is, "Fate grants favors to no one. Only those who would fight it with every ounce of their being may earn the right to challenge it." This comes from Piero, which is a huge deal coming from the first ever Harbinger. The leader of the Harbingers is supposedly hyping up a Harbinger who would betray the Tsaritsa? Plus, this is tying Arlecchino to the idea of fate, and we know that fate has been a huge thematic point ever since Sumeru. That's an incredible recipe for a nuanced and compelling Harbinger. So, I really hope Hoyoverse follows through with the cooking. So, Arlecchino, please don't be a sheep. Please actually be a wolf. Again, I'm very hyped for Arlecchino, and I hope that her story will just be well written and have care put into it. Anyways, that's it for the video. Thank you for watching, and see you next time.